this event is being transmitted with simultaneous interpreting in Portuguese, Spanish, and English in support of the partners Cochupé, Maya, Syngenta, PepsiCo, University of Ohio, National Council of Coffee, the OCB, IICA, Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock and Supply in Brazil, MAPA, transform these systems in an ecosystem rich is very important to guarantee the Latin American and Caribbean region in a sustainable way, the supply of the future and the demand of the future. This is an ambitious initiative that will restore the soils in the region. Brazil is part of this process, and to open up that, I will invite Manuel Otero to speak on behalf of IICA. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I would like to bid welcome to the Minister, Teresa Cristina, President of the Inter-American Board on Agriculture. In my name, I would like to bid my welcome to MAPA. I also would like to bid my welcome to the OCB, the President of the National Council of Coffee in Brazil, and all the friends and partners of the private sector, Bayer, PepsiCo, and Syngenta. Good morning. I bid you welcome in this IICA meeting headquartered in Costa Rica. This is the house of the agriculture in the Americas. And it's a great pleasure to start this alliance of live soils in Brazil that is going to be having Professor Rattan Lal. He is the director of carbon sequestration, University of Ohio. He's a strategic partner of this live soils in Brazil. Once more, we are going to be here together with partners from the private and public sectors. I would like to highlight this topic that is of worldwide interest to promote the conservation of the soils in our region, where approximately 40% of the soils have some sort of degradation, which stops the production of food, the well-being in the rural area, and also the mitigation of climate changes. And protecting our soils is very important for the agenda and the multilateral agreements on these matters. So in summing up, soils are very important to our life. And as General Director of IICA, I would like to express our commitment to really support all the member countries with solutions to strengthen this Live Soils initiative, trying to integrate all efforts from all sectors, private sectors and the public sector, so that we can really have an holistic approach with the support of Professor Lal. He is the president of the Institute of the Science of Soils of the University of Ohio, and he incentivizing the promotion of political policies and the implementation of best practice in the agricultural area. And in this sense, I receive the Brazil, because Brazil is a pioneer in public policies in sustainable agriculture. And I highlight the ABC plan, the low emission plan that has been updated by as the ABC Plus plan, and it has been executed in 2000 between 2010 and 2020, and has gone beyond the mission of 170 million carbon dioxide sequestration. This means 46.5 beyond the objective. ABC Plus intends to reduce in 1.1 billion tons with sustainable technology in 62.8 hectares in Brazil. In the next 9 years, this performance, it will inspire other countries in the region as a positive reference that is very successful and that can be transferred and applied in other countries of the region. I would like to highlight the efforts the Pronasolos, from which is the largest research program of Brazilian soil, and is going to consolidating the data and really know the soils in Brazil with the innovative technology and scientific base knowledge. With this knowledge, Pronasolos will be a leap in the development of Brazil. I would like to really register how happy I am to work in this initiative of life soils in Brazil and to be there with the coffee sector that is known in sustainable practices in their area through cooperativism and associate practices. With these relevant role of partners, I believe that this alliance of live soils is going to really help the impact of this initiative. And we are here at your disposal with the network and the structure of the IICA to really put the knowledge in practice and recover the soils that represent a unique asset where we live and where we plant our crops. Thank you very much. Yes, this work of recovering the soils that is so important for foods. This is also not only in IICA, but also the University of Ohio. He has received the Nobel Prize, and he says that we cannot have life without soils and the soil without life. Dr. Lal, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Dr. Otero, the Honorable Minister of Agriculture of Brazil, Madam Teresa Cristina, President of IICA, and several private sector colleagues from Bayer, PepsiCo, Syngenta, OCBD, colleagues from IICA, from MAPA, from University of São Paulo. Friends, it's a great honor and privilege for me to be able to say a few words of our great cooperation between the Carbon Management and Sequestration Center of the Ohio State University and IICA in implementing the LISM program. Just to say a few words about LISM, the goal is to making soil and agriculture a carbon sink, because soils of the managed ecosystems such as crops, pastures, forests, urban lands have a large carbon sink capacity, and it must be harnessed for adaptation and mitigation of the climate change. And soils of these ecosystems in Latin America and the Caribbean region can be a sink for atmospheric CO2 through judicious management and adoption of science-based proven management practices. Reducing emissions while increasing productivity is the goal of LISM. Increase productivity but reduce emission through better management of agriculture, forestry, and other land use change. Greenhouse gas emission in the LAC country account for 42% of the region's overall emission, while the global average of land use sector is only 18%. 42% is for Latin America. Therefore, putting carbon back in the land-based sink is very important to the LAC region. Prior to 1979, the greenhouse gas emission in agriculture production in the LAC was 10 times that of Western Europe as far as the agricultural system is concerned. Therefore, restoring carbon in soil and land is very critical. Between 1979 and 2019, Central and South America was very successful in reducing emissions per unit productivity by 57% in crop production and 61% in livestock. And from that point of view, I must compliment and commend IICA and the management of Minister of Agriculture of all countries, but especially that of Brazil, Madam Teresa Cristina. While greenhouse gas emission of agriculture practices are decreasing per unit production in the Latin American countries, there are regional differences amongst countries. And hopefully LISM can help bridge those differences. And the goal is to decouple or break the link between environmental footprint and agricultural production. Agricultural production must be achieved, improved, enhanced, but environmental footprint must be reduced. The climate action in the LAC countries, therefore, must focus more heavily on land and agriculture, especially the land-based solution. In this regard, I should point out some knowledge gaps. For example, the credible data on the current contribution of agriculture to greenhouse gas emission in all LAC countries need to be improved. Future contributions of agriculture to greenhouse gas emission in the LAC region with the present and future demand for food production must be assessed. The national implications of reducing greenhouse gas emission in agriculture to food production can be winners and losers, but I think with improved agriculture practices, we can improve gains and decrease losses. And the LAC region also, its agricultural emission have a global implication because of very large sector and rapidly increasing agriculture productivity. Therefore, the idea is to develop site-specific technologies, identify them, which can reduce emission while sustaining productivity. Now, the greenhouse gas emission as well as the carbon sequestration is limited, especially in the humid tropics of the LAC, the Amazon basin, which is 400 million hectare, is nitrogen limited. And the ecosystem carbon stock can be increased perhaps by 80 megagram metric ton per hectare over 2 centuries. That's a 20% increase above the stock, which is at present 40 kilogram per hectare, 40 megagram per hectare. Ecosystem carbon stock may increase by 63 metric ton per hectare with no nitrogen input, but 16% increase above the present 25 gigaton increase in the Amazon and 139 gigaton increase in the global tropical forest. So the tropical forest region can be very, very critical. In this regard, the ecosystem nature positive agronomic practices are emphasized by the World Food System Summit. The goal is to protect, manage, and restore soil, recarbonize the soil and vegetation of the region, improve water quality and renewability, adapt negative emission farming practices, reduce input of chemicals, use biostimulants and organic amendments where possible, promote biocircular economy, support the One Health concept, use digital innovation such as precision agriculture, and reward farmers for ecosystem services, while promoting education even at the primary level of the soil and environment. Some of the innovative agricultural practices being really promoted by Brazil and LISM and IICA and Ohio State include conservation agriculture, regenerative agriculture, agroecology, agroforestry, integration of crops with trees and livestock, practices with positive soil ecosystem carbon budget, the concept of CNPK through integrated soil fertility management, balanced use of plant nutrients, drip fertigation rather than irrigation by furrow or flooding, and digital agriculture and precision farming, artificial intelligence, drones, and robotics. I must compliment the Brazil and LISM and IICA in limiting already greenhouse gas emission from fossil fuel and land use change and phasing out the fossil fuel in the future by 2030 and 2050 perhaps, reducing land-based emission and restoring degraded soil. Restoring degraded soil is very critical. ABC program, Dr. Otero already mentioned, Brazil is a leader in demonstrating its success in the ABC. For example, between 2010 and 2020, they restored 15 million hectares of pastures. They integrated crop and livestock on 4 million hectares. They expanded no-till farming on 8 million hectares, increased biological nitrogen fixation on almost 5.5 million hectares, adopted afforestation on 9 million hectares, and they used green manure, the manure to convert gas, almost 4.5 million cubic meter. Consequently, funds provided as a credit to farmers by the Brazilian government were as much as US $1 billion, and they achieved over 10 years, as Dr. Otero said, 170 million tons of carbon CO2 sequestration by restoring over 50 million hectares of land in 10 million hectares. Now that the program is being extended by ABC activities to 2030 for another 9-year period, the goal is to mitigate CO2 by another 1.1 gigaton. The figure was already mentioned by Dr. Otero, and adopting in Brazil the best management practices, perhaps on 73 million hectares. This is where I think Brazil and LISM are natural partners. And if we can implement the same activity throughout the LAC region together, with IICA, with LISM, with Brazil, and with Ohio State and other partners, especially the private sector, the technical potential is almost 10 gigaton of CO2 by 2030. That's a tremendous success. And LISM and Brazil and IICA, Ohio State could also perhaps include other LAC countries to incorporate, to adopt, to promote this improved technology. We could also cooperate with AGRA in Sub-Saharan Africa through perhaps a doctor who was just recently Agnes of the UN Food System Summit. And we could perhaps go to ICAR in India to work in South Asia also to increase South-South cooperation to implement this program in other regions of the world. Lastly, I'd like to mention the important part that Brazil and LISM and IICA, Ohio State could play in promoting education about soil and about natural resources, about environment at primary school and middle school level as well, including about food and nutrition, about soil, water, air, environmental, personal responsibility, teaching to children that they must be responsible in regard to ethic and moral issues of stewardship, especially integrity. with regard to respect for nature. Therefore, connecting children with nature right from the young age should be an important initiative, part of Livestock with the help of Brazil and IICA and academic institutions and the private sector. Connecting children with nature can help make future generation be prepared. And this is one of the very important initiatives that with the help of IICA, we could implement. With that, it's a great honor and privilege to cooperate with you. And I salute you, Minister Teresa Cristina, for a tremendous success, which can be a role model for the rest of LAC and the globally. Thank you.
Muito obrigada, Dr. Lal, pela sua contribuição.
Thank you, Dr. Lal, for your contributions. And the difference between the countries, as you explained, should be seen as best practice. So the main challenge is define public policy so we can protect the soil, promoting the agricultural development. So now to talk about what the Brazilian government is doing in this sector and expectations for the ministry for live soils, we're going to hear from the Ministry of Livestock and Agriculture of Brazil. Thank you, Ms. Teresa Cristina. Thank you, Katsusia. It's a great pleasure to be here and give a good morning, a special good morning to all of you. I'd like to salute Dr. Manuel Otero, Dr. Gabriel Delgado, representative of IICA in Brazil, Mr. Fernando Camargo, Innovation Secretary, and also salute my dear friend, Mariane Crispolini, here next to me. Salute Professor Rattan Lal from University of Ohio, and all who are here participating, our partner companies that are extremely relevant today so that we are discussing live soils. I have always said that Brazilian agriculture is based on science, and also to strengthen science, we need to build partnerships, promote, again, partnerships that work together between the Brazilian government and the private sector, universities, academia, international organizations, and other entities. Those partnerships for the conservation of one of the most important natural resources that we have, which is the soil, is key to accelerate efforts for our agro livestock. So it's very important for me to be participating of this live soils initiative here in Brazil. It is important for us to remember how Brazil has been a pioneer in developing agro livestock for zero carbon emissions. There is also being implemented with the live soils technologies. One of some of technologies implemented by our low carbon sequestration, which is called ABC+, a very successful policy, which has as 10 years data from Embrapa and other research institutions showing that up to 2030, Brazilian producers will define the production models without carbon pollution, ABC, with more than 200,000 hectares. Those systems integrated all productions and direct planting was some of the technologies that will help us implement our sustainable agriculture in Brazil. But this is not enough. The process that for us to improve must be continuous and move forward. That's the reason words that ABC Plus define its more ambitious project for the next decade, defining new goals and defining new definitions up to 2030. We will disseminate the technologies with low carbon emission for more than 72 million hectares agricultural land in Brazil, promoting the health of our soil and gains in productivity on agricultural land already consolidated with no need to convert any other areas for the productive land. The potential of those agriculture of low carbon emissions is huge, and live soils will contribute for the expansion of adopting this technology together. ABC Plus and live soils will be a window showcasing how the technologies can improve and enhance the income and the quality of life of all the producers, and also will be sequestrating carbon from the soil. Brazil is available for all our neighboring countries in Latin America to share our experience with ABC Plus, our technologies, and how we can establish a synergy with this new initiative called Live Soils. Collaboration is the word of the moment. Other than ABC Plus, Brazil has other relevant experience with agriculture and livestock, like other two initiatives. Águas do Agua, it's a national program for conservation watershed, water, and the soil. This is other function that is vital for the soils, other than sequestering carbon. But it will only happen when we utilize best practice when we are managing the soil. Utilizing those two resources, water and soil, it is key. The Plan of Soils, or the national plan for the interpretation of soils from Brazil, it is the first public policy for the knowledge, the use and conservation of soil as a national strategy. It's totally related with live soils. It's a program that it's being implemented by the Minister of Agriculture, but it's also for the Brazilian government, defining clearly in a very comprehensive manner the governance of Brazil over soil, and has over 40 partner institutions. December last year, Brazil developed and showed the new platform of this program, collecting information and gathering information for several institutions about the Brazilian soil, such as unique maps for hydric resources and more areas that have been susceptible for erosion. This platform must have to be fomented, and those issues, assets that must be included there, it is carbon and water. Live soils, together with prona soils, could be one of the windows to showcase, illustrate that other than produce food, energy, the Brazilian agricultural product can also sequester carbon in its properties and its storage water. These are some experience from the Brazilian government that we'd like to share. Sustainability will only work if we have a broad reach, together with dissemination of our best practice for all agricultural products. We will be able to harvest the positive impact the production of bioenergy, fibers, and food can bring us all. Agriculture and livestock done in a sustainable manner is part of the solution for a double challenge, the climate change and food security. So this is our my wish that this new program will be a success for all of us. Thank you so much, IICA, for your coordination, your cooperation with the Brazilian Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock. Thank you, Minister. I thank you. The words from Minister of Agriculture and Supply from Brazil. I would like to reiterate her presence here and other authorities of here when we are launching this new program, Live Soils. Mariane Crespolini, Director of the Department of Irrigation. Rattan Lal, responsible for the Center of University of Ohio for carbon sequestration. Mr. Manuel Otero, IICA President and representative of IICA in Brazil. Other representatives, Silas Brasileiro, President of the National Council for Coffee, Márcio Lopes de Freitas, President of Organizations for the Co-ops of Brazil, Servandro Valles do Mas, Director of Agriculture from PepsiCo, Alejandro Gutierrez, Director of Co-op Issues of BioCop, Science in Latin America, Juan Pablo Gobet, Director of Latin America, Syngenta, and all of you who are here following our event. Thank you so much for your participation. And now we're going to hear from the Fernando Camargo. The floor is yours, Mr. Fernando Camargo. Good morning, everyone. Thank you. I just would like to reiterate some aspect mentioned by our Minister, Tereza Cristina. Salute Mr. Manuel Otero, Professor Rattan Lal, Jorge Vetter, our partners, Professor Sergio Razalt, who is also here, and salute presently Gabriel Delgado, our IICA representative in Brazil, Mariane Craspolini, Director of our Department of Sustainable Production, our other colleagues of Ministry of Agriculture who are here with us. And I share with you that we are very, very excited with this initiative, Live Soils. We were absolutely sure that this program from IICA has all the ability to join our program that we call Prona Soils, which is a very ambitious project of over 30 years from the Brazilian government, that we will not only try to identify our soil, we also now have another challenge, well defined by Professor Rattan Lal. We have the water challenge, we have the carbon challenge, and the biodiversity. So what we need to connect all these components and implement and work together so that ABC plus low carbon emissions, so well explained by Dr. Manuel Otero, the figures shown by Rattan Lal, which is incredible figures that make us feel very proud, could be shared with our neighboring countries in Latin America. I would even say in other African countries, which were in the same latitude of the savanna, the Brazilian savanna in the middle of the country. So again, I would just like to thank you for the opportunity and to salute all of you, this program that is extremely important for Brazil, for Latin America, and just to say you can count on us from the Minister of Agriculture, and I am sure that we will move forward. And please count with the Brazilian Embrapa. It's a very well-known Brazilian company, and I'm proud to be the director of this council, and they have a unit dedicated about soil in Rio de Janeiro, and I'm sure they will help us with this new initiative. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Secretary. We know that the main is to articulate the efforts with the private and public sector so that we can challenge and face the challenge about food in the world. Let's listen now. What the cooperative initiative of Cachupé with Mr. Mário Ferraz de Araújo. The floor is yours, Mr. Mário. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here with all of you. Professor Rattan from University of Ohio, Dr. Manuel Otero, General Director of IICA, Minister Maria Tereza Cristina, and other colleagues here present. Colleagues from PepsiCo, Bayer, and Syngenta. I represent Cachupé. Cachupé is a regional co-op of coffee. It's the largest co-op in the world and the largest in Brazil. It is no doubt about it. It's a large co-op because it's based with working with small coffee producers and also from family economy. So our main strength, specifically in the south of the state of Minas Gerais, Paranaíba, Zona da Mata, and also state of Espírito Santo and other states, it's because we are based in the small property, small agricultural property, and the economy, family properties. For us, it's very relevant to join and be part of this Live Soils program in the Americas, because we talk a lot, but very few science is applied. We are going through some fashion issues in Brazil and in agriculture, but some truth it's shared but not consolidated in the field. So it's extremely important for us that science will be by our side so that we can be able to implement the right actions so that we can share that with our coffee producers. COSUPE has a technical body with more than 70 technicians, which the main goal is to share that knowledge and that can help our, and I like to emphasize this, it is our small producer in a small family economy. And the secret of this program is to know the particularities of each part of Brazil. We don't only have one coffee crop in Brazil, it's very diverse, but I would like to specifically talk about COSUPE. COSUPE, as I said, is a large co-op. We have 16,000 members and 85% of it's composed by small family economy coffee producers. Coffee is the second most beverage consumed in the world. It is an activity that share and income. That's the reason why of the relevance of this social economy. In Brazil, it is the largest coffee producer in the world. So I am really excited and hopeful that this program will be very productive based on science. I think we are starting this here. When we started back in the empire in Brazil, when I started thinking about tropical science, and we started with continue with the several institutions that we have in Brazil, universities, Embrapa, Café, and many others. And we like to count with the support of all these institutions and also offer our own support on in anything that we can do. Thank you so much. We would like to thank you, Mr. Mário Ferraz de Araújo, Manager of Development of COSUPE. Brazilian numbers are very, very surprising. So that's now we're going to hear the National Council of Coffee that will share with her its own expectations within the program Live Soils. The floor is yours, Mr. Silas Brasileiro. I would like to salute Mr. Manuel Otero, Professor Rattan Lal, Minister Teresa Cristina, and our president of the co-ops of Brazil. So that we start where we are discussing a very extremely relevant topic, not only for Brazil, but also for the world. Brazil, with its large part of areas cultivated, there will be representatives of all the crops that we produce here in Brazil. One point that we have to talk about was the sustainability of what we are producing. With regards to coffee, we are an operation of OCB. The National Council of Coffee works with the co-ops that produce and export coffee. This has been our action. We represent 300,000 coffee representatives, generating 4.3 million jobs, and representing 60% of our PIB. This is the consortium that we signed with IICA and Embrapa, where we discuss the preservation of nature. It's a project being developed and will be launched next December 8th at Cautupé with a cooperation with our Cautupé. And this project, its comprehensiveness is huge because we are not only trying to preserve watersheds and also preserving the water and the soil. We try in a very important manner trying to recuperate the forest surrounding the watershed, try to preserve that. So its outreach, it's immense. And no doubt about it, we would like to express our gratitude of IICA Brazil, presided by Mr. Gabriel Delgado, who've been facilitating all these contacts and this consortium and agreement of extremely relevant, where when all of us in the world talk about sustainability, we represent, as coffee produces 3% of the cultivated area in Brazil, and we are the largest producer of coffee in the world. And this is being done in a sustainability manner, and this is our distinctions, not to mention the quality of the Brazilian coffee. As Mario mentioned, in its corporations, 85% of small producer. In Brazil, we are 78% of small producers. Family economy that they depend on coffee for their survival of their livelihood, but we worry about the sustainability aspect. The economy is important, the social, the quality and the well-being of the man in the living in the rural area, and the sustainability. This is our concern for the coffee producing. This is our representation at this National Council. And we want to show to the world that here in Brazil, there is a concern about sustainability. Where other countries are going to produce coffee in 2030 using sustainability principles, we here in Brazil are already doing that. This is the main distinction. In compliance with these principles that we have referred. So we are extremely proud when we talk about the soil preservation. Sometimes we worry only about the productivity of coffee. We have the largest 33 sacks per hectare, but it is extraordinary for us producers. But the preservation of soil, maintenance of soil has been our main guideline for our co-op. So I'd like to conclude thanking very much for this opportunity and showing the potential of the Brazilian coffee crops, how we preserve the soil, where we produce, maintaining the social aspect, which is very important for all of us. That's the reason why we can say that here we have in Brazil coffee production that is sustainable. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Muito obrigada, senhor. E agora é a vez de sabermos as expectativas e o plano de atuação da Organização das Cooperativas Brasileiras. Com a palavra, Márcio Lopes de Freitas, presidente do Sistema OCB.
Obrigado, Catiusca. Muito boa tarde a todos. Meu boa tarde especial ao Manolo Otero, esse grande apoiador do movimento agrícola nas Américas, grande amigo, que tem colaborado muito para o desenvolvimento da agropecuária em todas as Américas, e especialmente aqui no Brasil. Meus cumprimentos a toda a equipe, incluindo a ministra Tereza Cristina, ao Fernando Camargo, toda a equipe do Ministério, por apoiar essas ideias inovadoras, e especialmente esse programa extraordinário, que é o Programa Solos Vivos das Américas. Parabéns ao IICA, parabéns a todos da equipe do IICA por esse trabalho. Eu estou muito feliz de que esse trabalho tenha sido inaugurado e começado dentro do modelo cooperativista. Agradeço muito ao Silas Brasileiro.
And I would like to thank the words of Mr. Silas and to you, Mario. My thank you and extending my thanks to Cautupé. It's a co-op that makes us proud. I'm very happy to see all this process being incorporated by Cautupé. And And we must really to spread the word in the coffee production area. And through Cochupé, we are able to take this idea of conservation and live soils that Professor Lal well spoke about, and the water, the care in the water that we, through the co-ops, we can spread the word throughout the segment, not only in sugarcane production, but orange and soy production. And we have a model of sustainable development in that. And we are able to do that when we can do much more in this partnership. My thanks and my pride of the co-op systems in Brazil to be participating so well in all this work. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, the OCB President Marcio de Freitas. I would like to thank you and also the participation of Teresa Cristina from MAPA and also the Fernando Camargo, Mariano Cris Bolini, is from the Sustainable Development Irrigation, Rattan Lal from the University of Ohio, the General Director of IICA, Manuel Otera, and Manuel Delgado, IICA in Brazil, Jorge Wetter, and all of us that are following us here in Silas Brasileiro, the CNC President, and Manuel Araújo from Cochupé, Márcio from OCB, and all the others, PepsiCo representatives, and Sygenta, Juan Pablo Iobed, Director General of Sygenta. Thank you very much, and all of those people that are online. We're going to have the Juan Pablo Iobed, Sygenta Director, that is going to be talking about the expectations of this initiative, Live Soils. Thank you, Katusha. Good morning, everyone. I would like to greet the Minister, Teresa Cristina, Secretary Fernando Camargo, and all the other colleagues from MAPA. And special greetings to our partners from the private sector, from Bayer and PepsiCo, Sygenta. Manuel Otero, you have my greetings. We are very happy to be a part of this alliance of live soils in Brazil. We are very, very happy to be a part of this initiative, which is aligned with our corporal test Sygenta initiative, focusing in the health of the soil. Also, the work of Professor Lal, his provocations are always a source of inspiration, and this partnership is having us being able to work with him, which is a pleasure. And we want to bring our knowledge, our investments, innovation, technology, and have closer links with all the growers in Latin America and all the practices that should be regenerating the soils. Our planet and mankind are facing unprecedented change because of climate change. And this is really having lots of impact in the production of food all over the world. And we must evolve in all that. As leaders in the agriculture segment, we have to face up to these challenges in climate change and also use our potential in terms of reverting the problem and trying to combat the degradation of the soils and really protect the environment and have a better production. So we reinforce our goal to develop some of the techniques in this area. We have a history to improve in the soils in the last few years, and this is part of our sustainable development. Then its first phase in 2013, we have recovered 14 million hectares and 6.3 here in Brazil of these million hectares. So we go back to our partnership with Embrapa and all the very important players in the country. This initiative, it integrated more than 17 million hectares in Brazil, bringing benefits of environment for the environment and for the production. I call the attention that in 15 years, we increased the production area in 10 times. We have an alliance with DNT, and we launched a project called Revert to really have 1 million hectares recovered. And from this moment on, we reached 30 million hectares in this Revert project, and we are working to get to 100,000 recovered soils. And this partnership, we have a program of part of natural recovery of El Chaco, which is a very important area in the planet. And we believe in the strength of our partnership and in the alliances, because they not only facilitate the work, but it is an innovation vector. And we want to say that we have been participating that in the development of this sector, and we have been working with IICA with training programs for Latin America and the Caribbean, and we want to extend the work of the live soils in the Americas together with IICA and the manager, the Center of the Management of the Carbon Sequestration. Thank you very much for the opportunity. And we feel proud as Syngenta to participate in this initiative. Thank you. No, we are the ones to thank you, Juan Pablo Lobet of Syngenta. We thank you from the private world as well as to really have development with sustainability. Mr. Gutierrez now is going to be speaking on behalf of Bayer. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Today is the day of the launching of the Live Soils Initiative in Brazil. It's a stage that has been already planned since 1 year behind. I would like to thank the IICA directors and on the person of Manuel Otero, Gabriel Delgado, and all the other colleagues from IICA that have been really pursuing this project. And our thanks to Professor Lal and his leadership in this process, and also the ministry, MAPA, to bring this topic that is so important and to have done much more in the initiatives that the minister mentioned in the beginning. I would like to say that Bayer has a blessing, which is health for everyone, hunger for no one, and the agriculture sector has a very important role to play in this hunger for no one. In our strategic pillars, the innovation is one of them. The digital transformation is another one that has been named by several of the speakers that spoke before me. And sustainability, these are all key. initiatives. And in this ambition of sustainability, Bayer has the intention to help the growers to reduce 30% of their the environmental impact and the carbon coverage, and get to 100 million small growers that approve of the resilience, that show the resilience of these growers. And the soil is key. And this has been said and ratified by all. This is a resource that is a sine qua non for the fertility and the sustainability of the soil for the general production of foods, and also the sequestration of carbon. It has a great impact on the resilience of the sector and also in other ecosystems, because soils that can be degraded will generate pressure. So we are very excited to be a part of this process since the beginning, and we saw that this is a very well-aligned opportunity for us to participate. We would like to thank everyone who spoke here, and Bayer wants that this launching in Brazil is only the beginning of other many launchings in Latin America where we have a good presence. So once again, thank you very much to all the organizers of the event, and thank you for the invitation to be a part of it. We thank you. As we saw, this ambition of sustainability is a need, a global need to transform the agricultural systems to really inject the carbon back in the soils so that we can be sustainable in the demand of foods now and the future. Now, Sermando Tomás he is going to be speaking on behalf of PepsiCo and what the expectations of PepsiCo are in participating in this initiative.
Hola a todos. Sí, hola a todos, buenos días y gracias. Gracias a IICA a través del señor Manuel Otero, la señora.
Hello, everybody. I would like to thank IICA, Director General Manuel Otero, Professor Rattan Lal, and other colleagues of the industry. It is a great pleasure to share with you what PepsiCo is doing not only in Brazil, but in Latin America on this topic. Brazil is the largest operation of PepsiCo in Latin America, and that's why it is very important for us to show you what we're doing in the agricultural sector in Brazil. We want you to get to know this and for this to be known so that we can leverage what we are doing. Crop rotation, for example, is one practice that has been done for many years, but today's focus is to have coverage crops. Is very important. Brazil is a pioneer in this. 400 hectares, 10% of our operations use coverage crops today in Brazil. But we know this is not enough. And I am saying this because from the things that we are doing, I'm just going to share you some of our strategic plans in which we are going to be focusing. But particularly, we have two demonstrative or demo farms that we will be launching both in Brazil and in Mexico to be able to test coverage crops using the Sesvania seed. And we are very thrilled with these tests because we know that the potential cost, the low cost of this seed, it might actually incentivize its use throughout our farmers. And that's one of the things that we are doing, we would like to continue doing. And I would also like to share with you 3 programs that are key towards the future. One is that we are launching, and we launched this year, an extensive program, education program to over 200 farmers in the whole Latin American region. We started with 3 workshops in Brazil. all of them related to water conservation and the improvement of soils, regenerative agriculture, for example, biological control of diseases and pests, and also using reactors of organic origin and microorganisms and the soil's health. These workshops will continue being carried out, and this program is called AgroBleak because we will be using digital platforms to be able to share all this information throughout all of our farmers so that we can enhance the knowledge that they may have in regenerative agriculture, and also farmers throughout the Americas and in Brazil, for example, is one of the most innovative in this sense, so that amongst themselves they can share techniques and knowledge that they may have on what they are doing in real life. The second program is that we will be launching officially the Digitalization Strategy. We are finishing the peasant part in Brazil, and hopefully next year all of them will be digitalized. All of our operations will be digitalized. We're starting with soils and crops, pests, and diseases with state-of-the-art technology. We're using technologies, and we are going to implement the first tower for agricultural control in Brazil. And all of this aimed at increasing efficiency and reducing the need of resources, particularly fertilizers and agrochemicals. And this, of course, will enhance the health of the soil. And finally, I would also like to share that we are cooperating with a consultant called Resonance so that we can develop the first playbook of regenerative agriculture. Particularly, this will give us a deep diagnosis, not only at the country level, but at the region, not at the state level, but also regional level, of the next 3 and 10 years in terms of water conservation and soil health. And once we have this deep diagnosis for the first semester of 2022, we will be able to present a robust plan before the company for the activation of plans of a smaller and larger scale, where we can then incorporate private companies and also the government. So, as a company, we are thoroughly committed with what we can do in a tangible manner with our farmers and be able to contribute in Brazil and in Latin America for the health of soils. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Once more, we thank you, Servando Valdez Domado, the PepsiCo. All the other examples show that the private sector must be a part of our work in terms of environment and sustainability of the environment. We have heard many people with better practices, regulations, partnerships, alliances, technical alliance, and other tools to recover the health of the soils in the America, specifically now in Brazil. And to finish off this meeting where we're launching live soils in Brazil, I would like to invite the IICA, Gabriel Delgado in Brazil. The floor is yours, Gabriel.
Buenos días a todos y a todas. Muchas gracias, Catiucia, por tu gentileza, como siempre, de colaborar con.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much, Catiucia, for collaborating with us all the time. And before giving a brief closure, I would like to thank all the people who have made possible this event. First of all, our dear Minister Teresa Cristina and my dear friend Fernando Camargo, who for several months had the intention of carrying out this event, but because of some agenda issues, we were not able. But we complied with our promise that this was going to be done before the end of the year. I would also like to thank our Director General for his trust in accompanying us in all this process here in Brazil, and for his support, for his constant support. I would like to thank Mariane Crespolini as a technical member of this topic, not only in Brazil, but also at the regional level. And I would not like to forget about the original assistance that I received when we started developing this process here in Brazil by Fernando Schwanke, who right now is joining us in Costa Rica's IICA, but played a very important world. All the energy that Jorge Huerta has given to this project as well throughout this months to articulate all this. That is not easy. You need to articulate among companies, among countries. So again, I have never felt alone in this role. This is a joint accomplishment. And I would also like to thank Francisco Fujita and the team who has assisted us at IICA Costa Rica and IICA Brazil, who are joining us as well. Romelia, Ethel, Christian, so, and Yadoseri, who also has joined us in a very important way. And I would not like to leave out my thanks to all the private sector who is joining us today. Marcio from OCB, Juan Pablo Jovet from Syngenta, Ferraz from Cochapé, our colleague from Bayer, Alejandro Girardi, Valdez Servando from PepsiCo. Well, I think it is very important. I think this is a model project because agriculture, after the Green Revolution, many of our countries complied with that goal, and now these goals are being renewed with some new challenges, and they are new for institutions too, and they're new for the private sector as well. So I think that the challenges that we have in this type of programs is in trying to see how those technological changes and the new challenges that the agriculture is facing, such as carbon and the environmental issues and everything that has to do with food systems, also pose the need for us to provide new public assets focused on the new needs that companies are facing as well. And I am talking about this topic because I think this is a new way to rethink what we do and be up to date with the changes, the dynamic changes that are taking place at the corporate level, not only in the public sector, but also the private sector. And it is our duty to try to incorporate them and join them and assist them. So we have been working together with the public sector, with the private sector, with international technical cooperation that also has a regional responsibility, as Fernando mentioned today. So I think this is the way to develop this new institutionality that these new challenges require. So I would just like to celebrate and close this celebrate that we're incorporating this Living Soils program and highlighting that the cooperation in technical cooperation at the national level, international level might lead to other programs that might help us face the new challenge that we have at the institutional level. So thank you all. And I would like to greet you on behalf of Manuel Ontero, who is our Director General and had another commitment that he needed to attend to, but he wanted me to send you his greetings and thank you all. Thank you very much.
Nós agradecemos mais uma vez a participação de todos.
We thank you, everyone that really share their plan for this great challenge and those that were here present in the launching of Live Soils in Brazil, restoring Brazilian soils. Congratulations to everyone and a happy Tuesday to everyone.
Gracias.
Muito obrigado, pessoal. Até uma próxima.